Oh, well, good evening out there. Well, the sun has slowly made its way down once again, and we can finally get comfortable and have a chat. My name is Eddie Booze, and this is Exit the Matrix. All right, you guys, throughout my life, I have traversed my share of rabbit holes, and like many of you out there, I have seen and experienced some things I simply cannot explain. I invite you all to consider that this world may not be exactly what we've been told it is, and that maybe, just maybe, we haven't even scratched the surface of the absolute truths that lie before us. That being said, let me welcome my guest tonight, Mr. Joel David Reed. How you doing, Joel?
What's up?
Good to have you back, boss. Good to have you back. All right, brother. So... I usually like to ask what you've been getting into, but we've been doing some talking, and I'm going to leave that for the next episode. We're just going to jump right into this episode because we got a lot to talk about today.
Yeah.
Okay, what do you know? Okay, when I say the words, all right, and by the way, I feel like I should probably, okay, before we get into this episode, let me preface this with an apology to the CIA. I feel like we're just doing episodes about you guys. You know what I mean? So, we'll do cryptids and aliens and all that other shit too. But it's just, it's interesting. What you guys do is interesting. All right, so, that being said, what do you know about the Warren Commission?
Okay. Now, I know you told me to kind of fly in blind on this one.
I told you to fly in blind on this one.
I know a little bit. It had to do with the the presidential assassination.
Which one? There was three
of
initials. That's correct.
Yeah, but I think it had to do with the investigation
afterwards,
yeah,
right?
The investigation.
So the Warren Commission was a group of individuals that were chosen by the government to investigate the assassination of JFK, number one. And number two, they were it was the second thing they were supposed to do was to calm the public. So
kind of put a lid on it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you want to put it that way, yeah, it's fine. I mean, they wanted to they needed to calm the public down, and that was one of the major things that the Warren Commission was charged with doing. Okay, so but the crazy thing is that a lot of people don't know this. And you know what's funny is that I read a book about this about 10 years ago or so. I read a book called The Hit List by Richard Belzer. And you know who Richard Belzer is, the actor who was on Law & Order?
Yeah.
The gray-haired dude with the glasses?
Yeah.
That dude wrote a book about this. He wrote a book about so in the wake of the JFK assassination after November 22nd, 1963, there was the Warren Commission was announced, and they were doing an investigation, and in the time during the investigation afterwards, over 50 people that were connected to the JFK assassination in some way or another, witnesses or, whatever, they mysteriously died.
Whoa, wait,
Yes.
Wait, 50 people who were there or saw something or anything.
Yes, who have some sort of connection to the JFK assassination, either went missing, died in mysterious circumstances, car crashes, random heart attacks, weird shit.
Dude, I am thinking you were going to say, went into a protection program or something. No, quite the opposite.
Very strange, dude, right? And it's come on. You know what I mean? That's one of those things that when you hear people go, oh yeah, obviously there's foul play amiss there.
Right.
But you know what I mean? But if you acknowledge that, then you kind of got to acknowledge that somebody was behind that. And if you're acknowledging that, and it's on that big of a scale, do you just submit to the idea that that the federal government is potentially, had you know what I mean, like maybe a hand here in this, you know what I mean, like.
I don't want to say duh, but I also can't help but say duh.
It's funny because, like, I mean, you try and be like politically correct as much as you can and dance around the subject, but let's just, I mean, here, like, so I did a little bit of research because I was just sitting there the other night thinking, like, what would be a good episode for Joel and I to do? And I was like, and I remembered this book I read, and I thought to myself, man, that would be good. And so I did a little digging. I kind of reminded myself about the details about the situation. And the more you remind yourself about this, and the more you kind of dig in, the more insane it actually gets.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Well, so essentially, like, the book itself outlines well-known debates surrounding the JFK assassination, the Warren Commission, and that did conclude that Oswald acted alone, but many researchers, including Belzer and David Wayne, argue that a deeper conspiracy was at play. Okay, and it examines the inconsistencies in the official reports and the problems with forensic evidence and the suppression of witness testimonies.
Suppression of witness testimony.
Yeah, bro. Okay, so this
They
gets...
just kind of just...
Yeah, man.
Just suppress it, huh?
And like I said, the core of the book is detailed at the examination of over 50 people who died under unusual or suspicious circumstances after being involved in some way with the Kennedy assassination. The deaths range from car accidents, suicides, heart attacks, and unexplained murders, many occurring within a short period after the assassination. Some of the most notable cases... Now, we'll get into some of the cases later, actually. But do you know who killed Oswald? Just curious. Do you know? His name was Jack Ruby.
Okay.
Okay, so Jack Ruby is the one who killed Oswald, and he actually later died of cancer under unusual conditions and always claimed that he had been given cancer, that they had injected him with cancer.
How do you inject? Never mind.
Dude, I mean, that's what he said. This is what he said. Okay, so also the book argues the statistical improbabilities. The authors argued that the number of suspicious deaths are statistically improbable if they were merely coincidences. They cite mathematical studies that suggest the odds of so many related individuals dying unnaturally in a short span of time are astronomical, which you gotta admit, come on.
Yeah, that's...
Even three. Let's say three people who were witness to the JFK assassination, or, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But over 50, bro.
That's
50.
absurd.
All right. The book also explores who was behind it. By the way, it's a book I highly recommend. It talks about a lot of really interesting things in detail surrounding the Kennedy assassination, and they go into depth about, you know, Oswald's whereabouts, timestamps that people saw him in certain places. It goes into the murder of Officer JD Tippit, which we'll get into a little bit here. And we're going to cover that in a little bit too. But the book is excellent. It's very well presented. It's very well thought out. I suggest you guys give it a read. They explore the possible culprits, including the CIA, unconfirmed, organized crime, political elites, and military-industrial interests. Okay? They suggest that the deaths of these witnesses were part of a coordinated effort to silence dissent and ensure the official lone gunman narrative remain unchallenged. Okay?
Unchallenged.
Cover-ups and media suppression. The book also discusses how mainstream media failed to properly investigate these deaths and how official records have been altered or concealed. It also delves into the role of intelligence agencies in manipulating public perception, which, you know, I'm not sure how much you know about, like, the Smith, or like propaganda, or like the Smith-Mundt Act in like 2012, 2013. So in the Smith-Mundt Act in 2012, 2013, that did two specific things. After World War II, we implemented laws in the United States that it would be illegal for propaganda to be used against its own citizens, which means two things. Number one, the public could never, like, journalists could not legally publish something they knew to be false.
Right.
Okay? Number two, the government couldn't legally sponsor state media. They couldn't sponsor. They couldn't like pay a news station to say what they wanted them to say.
Right.
Okay. Now, in 2012 or 2013, those laws were repealed under President Obama with the Smith-Mundt Act. Okay. So now journalists could at that point legally say what they wanted, even if they knew it to be untrue, just to get clicks. And the state could actually sponsor media, could actually pay for whatever they wanted the public to know about. So in repealing those laws with the Smith-Mundt Act in 2012, 2013, do you remember hearing the term fake news around 2014, 2015? But you didn't hear it before that. Why? Because it was fucking illegal to tell the United States public something that wasn't true. If you're a journalist, you had to do... Now all you have to do is print a retraction. 8 days later in the back of the newspaper or give some sort of verbal retraction on TV 8 days later. Whatever, it doesn't matter.
Right, after the damage is done.
Exactly right. And these people would do it for whatever reasons, malicious or, financial clicks, whatever it may be.
Right.
So those two things are now legal in the United States, which weren't after World War II. We put those laws in to prevent propaganda moving forward.
Right.
So now those laws are...
And now we see it all the time.
Now we see it all the time. Now we see fake news all the time and all this stuff. Anyway, my point is that it wasn't legal back then to knowingly print something that was false, especially after World War II. This is only... 20 years later?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like in 63. So it talks about, like I said, the manipulation of public perception. And another thing, dude, like we have seen proof that and examples over and over and that those two things that I've explained to you are happening in our society today.
It's what propagates the cognitive dissonance that society is facing right now.
100%. So, yes, the media is not telling you the truth. They're telling you what they want to tell you, and they have there's no ramifications for it.
Or what they're paid to tell you.
And like I said, you've seen tons of things where somebody prints something and somebody has to make a retraction, but they don't have to not do it.
Right.
And recently we found out with some of the uncoverings of the Department of Government Efficiency that's happening right now, we have found out that the government was largely sponsoring state media. We were paying Reuters, we were paying all kinds of news agencies to write what we wanted. And when I say we, I mean the federal government.
Okay.
The federal government was paying major news organizations, and let me pull that. Let me walk that back. I'm not 100% sure, but I saw a report yesterday, literally yesterday. I will send it to you about Reuters specifically. Jeez. I can't. Now, again, allegedly, this is I don't know that even what I saw was true, but I know that it was a report that I read that that the United States government had paid Reuters, and it said specifically for disinformation, for misinformation. It said that on the document that I read. So again, document might be false.
Unconfirmed.
Document might be false, but this is what I'm talking about.
That's very intriguing,
yes,
for sure.
It's an example of what I'm talking about. Look into that.
I will.
You do some research. I'll do some research tonight too. And I mean, we'll see. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, like all of these reports that are coming out of all this stuff that could be, misspending or fraudulent spending or wasteful spending or whatever it may be, or spending just against the wishes of the American people, I don't think the American people want the United States government sponsoring media that they want us to hear. I think the American people would like journalists to be unbiased and to give us the information and not their opinions. I think the American people would like that.
Yeah. We have entertainers for that.
If you ask anyone, liberal or conservative, their answer to that, now they might not mirror that in their actual lives. They may soak up all the lies and say, give me all the fucking lies you can. You know what I mean? Like, but you know what I mean? But when you ask them and they're cognitively in it with you, if you ask them, do you want your government to sponsor media? Do you want your journalists to be able to lie to you knowingly? I guarantee you the answer overwhelmingly is probably going to be no.
Yeah, no.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it doesn't matter what side of the road you're on. You don't want to be fed bullshit.
But when you actually, when a lot of these people, that say no,
right,
turn around and they go back to their news sources, their trusty old news sources,
right.
they fail to realize that the media and this public perception is bought and paid for.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And there's no unbiased to it.
Right.
That's why more people over the last 5, 6, 7 years have turned to independent journalism.
Mm-hmm.
They've turned to YouTubers who are doing analytical reports on YouTube. Like earlier, before we left the house, we had one on this guy named Cash Jordan. He does a lot of New York, a lot of local.
Your studio, yeah.
He does a lot of local New York stuff, and his analytics are fantastic. He's got but that's the thing. My point isn't to go and my point isn't to listen to me. Don't listen to me. Listen to your heart. Listen to. If these people if you're knowingly being lied to by a subset of people, would you want to continue to take everything they say as scripture?
Right.
And with what we know about the Smith-Mundt Act, with what we know about what's being, uncovered, recently, I think that people would welcome a fresh perspective, take a step back, find other independent sources, go look and, anywhere you can. Enjoy yourself. Broaden your perspective is what I'm saying.
One thing, if we're, giving a little shout out to YouTubers, one of the many sources I've listened to and actually kind of appreciate for a specific point is like Philip DeFranco. He doesn't just talk about this is what's going on, like this is what's happening, but he also talks about and how it's being reported in different outlets. He'll talk about, here's how they're reporting about it here, here's how they're reporting about it here, and here's how this. And I've kind of noticed, like, that's interesting because he's actually showing, depending on where you get your sources from, these reports may vary, and I kind of like that.
Well, yeah.
One take that he's actually, I like that take, and there's.
I don't know who Philip DeFranco is. I'll have to look it up.
I'll
have to look him up.
He's just one of the various angles of sources that I want to get from, but he at least keeps it kind of just quick, entertaining.
You touched on something there, and I wanted to just cite this study that I heard about, and I'm sure that you can look this up, but essentially what it said was it polled liberals, conservatives, and independents, and it asked them where they get their news sources from. Liberal news sources or conservative news sources. And conservatives did about like 60-40, like 60% conservative news sources, about 40%. Actually, no, it was like 70-30 or something like that. 60-40, 70-30 is what as far as I remember. Independents were about half and half. And liberals were about 90-10. So like they're only getting a small fraction of their news outside the bubble. Do you see what I'm saying? So my point goes back to what Mr. DeFranco was studying.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
He's saying like, how this is what this group is saying, this is what this group is saying, this is what this group is saying.
And here's what they're watching, and here's where they're getting their ideas and their media from. Now,
and here's a way to make your own.
Well,
educated.
and what my point is that, again, kind of just going back to the fact that we've kind of gotten way off topic here.
But that's okay.
Yeah, I think this is kind of a definitely like a worthy rabbit hole to go down. We'll go back to the Warren Commission in just a second. It does. It does. It really does. We'll go back to the Warren Commission in just a second here. But yes, it speaks to the distrust that I think that we don't have enough of for the media, to be honest with you. I think if you have a distrust for the media, it's probably not strong enough. Yeah, no, I'm being honest with you. Especially after I would agree with that. Especially after the way the media has been allowed to do what they've been allowed to do over the last, like I said, 12 years, 13 years now since the Smith-Mundt Act was in place.
Decade, yeah.
Okay, guys, please go out there and do some research on the Smith-Mundt Act. Look it up for yourselves. Don't take anything I'm saying as truth. Look it up. Take the 5 minutes. In fact, let me take a moment to do a little PSA here.
Uh-oh.
All right, PSA coming. PSA incoming. All right, guys, I would like to ask the general public to do something. I don't see enough of this anymore.
Wait, is this a service announcement, or you want them to do the
public service announcement, baby? I'm going to tell you guys something that's extremely... I'm going to ask you guys to do something out there. Please analyze and parse raw data for yourselves. That is the best thing you can do if you want the truth. So many people are out there giving you their spin and their opinion on what is going on in the world today. Go find the raw data. Analyze it for yourself. Parse through that. Look through it. Figure it out. Your brain works. All of you out there, you are capable. You have the intelligence to do this. Anything out there that you question, if the people who are in your group are out there telling you one thing or another, and they're telling you, do this, do that, think this, think that, and it doesn't quite click with you, it doesn't quite go along with your values, look it up. Do some analyzation and some parsing of some raw data, guys. That's my little public service announcement for the day. I encourage everyone to do that. I don't think we get enough of that in public nowadays. I think most people are on such a fast-paced, I got to go. I got so much to do. I don't really have the time to analyze and parse the raw data. Let me let, this guy do it. Let me let this girl do it. Let me let whoever else is going to do it for me. But it's in our best interest, Joel, to be informed and actually be informed. Also, this gets the fucking neural pathways going, dude. The synapses is firing. This builds new, it gets the neurons firing. You know what I'm saying? Like,
totally.
We need to read more, dude. We need to get involved in actually, if we're going to be involved in society and the knowledge of what's going on, then maybe we should actually have the truth.
Exactly.
I mean, does that sound reasonable to you to have a basis in truth?
Oh yeah.
Of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We need that.
Because otherwise we're just literally talking about other people's talking points and other people's values. Why don't you base your values on actual factual data and then go off of that? You know what I'm saying? Every time I talk to people about voting, whenever the election cycle comes through, and everyone's all worked up, I go, listen, you don't gotta have to have dinner with either of these people, but what you do have to do is live under their policies. So I would highly suggest you take the 5 most important things to you in your political spectrum, and you weigh them against the political candidates, what their policies are for those 5 things that are your most important things to you, whether they be immigration, education, economy, whatever. Good advice, right?
Yeah, that's solid advice. You should be educated on what's going on and what's going to happen.
And what that also does, I feel, is it promotes it promotes you understanding, identifying, and acknowledging your own values. Because a lot of people don't even know what they think about something unless they literally ask themselves and sit down for a minute and go, oh wow, what do I think about that? What do I think about the death penalty? I don't really do I have an opinion on that? Or what I'm saying is it could be anything. You know what I'm saying? But the point is that the media is fucking untrustworthy.
Very much so.
But I'm saying that no, we have the intelligence, we have the capability, we can do it. I'd like to see a lot more of it. But yeah, man, I mean, and I think too that we'd be better off, as a species and happier with each other. And a lot too, like online, the social temperature may be like cold and people may be cold to each other online. But when you walk out that front door and you walk around and you talk to people, the social temperature is warm. People love each other, dude.
Yeah.
People love each other in this world, bro.
We want human interaction.
That's right. And that's absolutely right, dude. So,
and we don't want to be told that we don't want human interaction.
Yeah, and the last thing the government wants, the last thing the people who did kill JFK want is for us to stand up together. Is for us to acknowledge the similarities that we have with each other instead of the differences that we have with each other and unite over those. And like I was telling you earlier, Joel, if you you could take the person across the aisle from you who's literally politically across the aisle from you. We were on our way in discussing this actually. And you could ask them like basic random questions like, do you want less government control or in your life or more government control? And almost everybody is going to say less. Right. Okay? So, maybe we should start acknowledging who wants more government control politically. And I'm not, to be honest with you, it's both Republicans and conservatives, but it's the old guard. It's the Mitch McConnells. It's the Nancy Pelosi's. You know what I'm saying? It's the Joe Bidens, you know what I mean? And the new guard, the new people who are coming in and doing their best to push that side of things out, they are doing they're doing what we're asking them to do as, citizens of the United States. But essentially, we have this old guard, political, no term limit, people who have made millions and millions of dollars in the government, which they don't get paid millions of dollars in their salaries. So, you know what I'm saying? They got it cushy. They want to keep it the status quo. And then they got, people coming in to change that up and rattle up their cages now. So everything's changing. Everything's a little different now. But we want that. As a United States, we want no IRS. We want no, we want less laws and regulations. We want to, you said you were what, libertarian?
Yes.
Social libertarian, right?
Yeah, I'm a libertarian.
What does that mean?
I don't want to get into it right now. I just wanted to talk about I didn't really expect to get into a political discussion.
Okay, so...
I wanted to talk about conspiracies. This is getting a little more than I was expecting on the political, but...
It's okay.
No,
Joel, and you have the brain to fucking analyze this too, dude.
No, I know.
To you, let me just ask you. So, to you, does that mean that you want smaller government in your life? More like on a municipal level? Or do you want no government in your life? Do you want more like anarchy?
No, I don't want that.
So you want less government control. You want more like a municipal level government. You want the federal government to pretty much just, and the state government to essentially like make sure that we're being represented on our municipal levels.
Well, I grew up in a farming community, and I know certain laws in farming communities don't really apply in an urban, the certain things. It's the culture's so different that it's like making laws about the city that has nothing to do with out in the country, like even down to speed limits. People think, there's an empty road, we can drive this fast. It's like, yeah, but people work on the side of that road. So you think people should be able to vote within their localities on their own laws, and that be that, and then our voices are represented based on that. Yeah. In more smaller municipal and local and local regional. Generally speaking, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that. I feel like that really is.
A local representative knows what I need locally, as opposed to
correct.
Someone in.
Agreed. Agreed. Absolutely agreed, Joel. 100%. I agree. I think that a lot of people want that too. They don't want big government in their lives. They want more of smaller government in their lives. But that goes back to what we're talking about here.
It's more. I think we want something a little more bespoke and not so factory processed. That it's like just.
We want something.
Slam.
Well, I don't think people want a fucking oppressive thumb on them anymore.
Exactly.
In general, we want to have the freedoms that we once had.
Yeah, show us what the oppressive thumb looks like, Eddie. Like seriously, because this is exactly what this is.
Oh yes, yeah,
Yeah, you know?
yes. This. Okay, let's go. Let's get back into this.
Yeah, 'cause,
okay, we went off on a tangent, but
No,
it's
but it's valid.
congruent with what we're talking
Yeah.
about here. You know what I mean? Because, like I said, the public perception of everything was shattered back then.
It really was.
And nobody trusted anything that was happening or going on, especially when 50 people surrounding the JFK assassination were dying, and the media was going, "Everything's fine, folks." You know what I mean?
And we're like, is it though?
Exactly. Okay, so anyway, so moving on from the book, okay, I'm just going to kind of go into a few of the cases.
Sure.
That people that died mysteriously. We're just going to dig right into some of these cases, okay? So check this out. These are some of the most high-profile figures that
Sure.
died mysteriously under mysterious circumstances, okay?
Okay.
We have investigative journalist Dorothy Kilgallen. I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but I think that's right. Kilgallen. She was an investigative journalist who interviewed Jack Ruby. He interviewed the man who killed Lee Harvey Oswald.
Right.
Okay? And she publicly questioned him during the Warren Commission's findings. He was publicly questioned during the Warren Commission's findings. Now, her death was on November 8th, 1965, so 2 years later. She was found dead in her Manhattan apartment, officially ruled an overdose of alcohol and barbiturates. But many suspect foul play since she had told friends about that she was about to break a major story on the JFK assassination. The notes from her investigation disappeared.
Oh, did they? The plot thins. Well, I mean,
fuck, dude.
Yeah, there's
Fuck.
no plot left if there's no notes.
That sucks, dude. That sucks, man.
Yeah, that's
David Ferry, role, pilot with alleged ties to the CIA and Lee Harvey Oswald, connected to Jim Garrison's investigation. Death, February 22nd, 1967. So 5 years later, found dead in his apartment from what was, 4 years later, sorry. Found dead in his apartment from what was officially ruled a brain aneurysm. A typed suicide note was found nearby. For a brain aneurysm?
how do you
What?
self-induce a brain aneurysm?
But the autopsy indicated no clear cause of death. His death occurred just days before he was scheduled to testify in the Garrison trial. How crazy is that?
I don't even know how to induce a how.
What? Exactly,
He's just like,
bro.
wait. Does he like, all right, goodbye, and just
Okay, in that book that I read, and I don't know if I have any notes in here about that,
flex?
but in that book that I read,
That makes no sense.
dude, it's crazy. In that book that I read, dude, they talk about how Lee Harvey Oswald had a CIA handler.
A handler, like a wild animal.
I'm not even kidding. Like they name the guy in the book and everything. I can't even remember what his name was. I want to say, I'm almost sure I'm getting this wrong. I'm getting this mixed up with this CIA handler from the Rick Ross case, but I want to say the name Danilo Blandone, but I think I may be getting it mixed up from the Rick Ross case. I think. But it might be right. I'm not sure. I might be right, I might be wrong.
Or you're getting Rick rolled.
No. All right. Fucking love Rick Astley. All right. All right, so number 3, Jack Ruby.
Jack Ruby.
Most notably, Jack Ruby.
The hero.
Nightclub, well, yeah, I guess. I mean,
He's the guy who took down the assassin.
well, the assassin, you know. So Jack Ruby was a nightclub owner who killed Lee Harvey Oswald 2 days after JFK's assassination, okay?
Big-time hero.
Now, his death was on January 3rd, 1967, and he died from a fast-spreading cancer in prison. Ruby had previously claimed he was injected with cancer while in custody. His death prevented him from testifying further about potential conspiracies. What do you think?
Did you?
Death by CIA or just cancer? Stress?
Well, I think it was also. Didn't you say, like, I'm not sure if it was just now or if in another early time. You said that he said they injected him with cancer.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
He said, okay, so he said
Injected
Ruby
him.
had previously claimed that he was injected with cancer while in custody. Yeah. I mean, again, that's something you just gotta like compartmentalize and be like, okay, that's its own thing. How does that happen? But I mean, come on, dude. Like, you have to be able to do it. If we have cancer cells out there,
there's a way they could inoculate.
There's got to be a way that they could weaponize that, right?
I mean, they could maybe inoculate him in a way that would cause something that.
Listen, if they haven't figured it out already, send it to Wuhan. I'm sure they'll get it taken care of in a fucking heartbeat.
God.
I'm just fucking around. All right, so listen. All right, the next one, George de Mohrenschildt. All right, George de Mohrenschildt, all right? He was a Russian-born geologist and CIA-connected oil consultant, a close acquaintance of Lee Harvey Oswald. What the fuck is Lee Harvey Oswald doing such close acquaintances with the CIA and, all these people who are CIA, involved with the CIA? His death was on March 29, 1977. Allegedly shot himself in the head with a shotgun just before he was scheduled to testify before the House Select Committee on Assassinations. Many believe he was silenced. I mean, I'm sure. All right. Yeah, the irony is lost there. I don't know what happened, but we lost audio for like a quick second.
Uh-oh.
But yeah, I'm glad you didn't say anything during that audio loss. I was like, wait a minute. What's going on? All right, I'm going to cut to you. And All right, hold on. I got to...
Is it me?
Nah, it's something. But let me see what's going on here. Let me see why we're losing audio. All right, let me close this out. Thank you for your patience, y'all. Love you guys. I'm not going to cut to a be right back screen or anything like that. I'm just going to keep it popping here and see if I can find out what's popping, what's going on. All right. I'm assuming everything's okay. All right. We're just going to continue.
1, 2. Is it me?
It's good. I mean,
cool.
but
all right.
Let me switch to you again because it did do it on camera switch. So.
Check
right.
1, 2. Check.
I mean, we're good. We seem to be good. I mean,
sweet.
Maybe somebody out in the office building is doing something with the electricity. I don't know. Yeah. I doubt it, but here we go. Let's get back to it.
They're trying to shut you up, dude.
We're not cutting that either. Right. They are trying to shut us up, dude. Exactly, dude. That's why.
Unconfirmed.
No, that's confirmed, bro. They're right outside the door. Do we got a lock on this door? We do. All right, George de Mohrenschildt. All right, number 5, next. William Pitzer, naval commander and medical photographer, allegedly filmed JFK's autopsy. What the fuck? The guy who filmed JFK's autopsy, allegedly, was found dead from a gunshot wound to the head, officially ruled a suicide, but many believe he was murdered to suppress evidence contradicting the official autopsy.
Okay, so you think JFK is an alien then?
No.
Like he knew too much? He saw his...
You think it was I'm
just being silly. I mean,
wait, what movie was that there were like little aliens inside people controlling them?
Men in Black. He had the little switch on his ear and went...
All right, so it was like
face
that?
opened up?
I don't know, dude.
I don't know.
I mean, JFK was pretty badass. I mean, who knows?
Who knows? Camelot couldn't last forever.
What?
Well, that was the term. It was his reign,
yes.
American Camelot.
All right. Oh. Look at you. Look at you and your little tidbits of knowledge. Right? All right. Thomas Hale Boggs Sr., U.S. representative and critic of the Warren Commission's findings. On 72, he disappeared when his plane vanished over Alaska. The wreckage was never found, fueling speculation that he was targeted. Gary Underhill, CIA agent who believed the agency was involved in JFK's assassination.
Sounds like a fake name. That's even the fake name in Lord of the Rings, dude. Come on.
He was on May 8th, 1964, so 1 year, not even 1 year later, he was found shot in the head in his home, officially ruled a suicide, but some claim it was an execution. Charles Nicoletti, Chicago mob hitman, rumored to have been involved in JFK's assassination, was shot multiple times in his car just before he was scheduled to testify before the House Subcommittee on the House Select Committee on Assassinations.
Convenient on timing that a hitman got hit.
Right? Right, exactly.
Like-
Sam Giancana, Chicago mob boss with ties to the CIA, alleged to have played a role in JFK's assassination. He died June 19th, 1975, shot multiple times in his home just before he was set to testify before the Senate Select Committee on Intel. You know, it really seems like testifying is bad for these people's health, dude.
They hit the mute button pretty hard, don't they?
Everybody's getting ready to testify here, and they get fucking the off switch gets pushed on these people, dude. Like,
Jeez Louise.
what the fuck? All right, Roger Craig, Dallas deputy sheriff who claimed he saw Oswald get into a different car after the assassination, bro. Dallas deputy sheriff Roger Craig claimed he saw Oswald get into a different car after the assassination. Officially ruled a suicide, gunshot wound, but he had survived multiple previous assassination attempts. They tried to kill that motherfucker more than once, bro. They tried to off that dude more than once, and he said, hell no.
Like, well,
I
I'll tell
won't
you.
go.
Well, I'll tell you,
hell
Pilgrim.
no. I won't go. And then he finally went. Reluctantly, obviously, but this is fucked.
That's nuts.
And hey, think about that. That wasn't just some random homeless dude on the street that was like, I saw Oswald get into a different car.
No.
I
Yeah.
know I was down at the river, and then the lady came down with a dildo, and then Oswald was there, and they all started smoking crack, and then a midget came up. You know, I mean, it's like, dude, it
Yeah.
wasn't that. It was fucking...
A sheriff's deputy.
A sheriff's deputy, Roger Craig, claimed he saw Oswald get into a different car after the assassination, bro.
Yeah, that's a would be valid. You know,
Right.
that should be taken seriously.
I
well,
would
it
ass-
was taken seriously.
I would assume so. What
Very
the fuck is going on
seriously.
with the audio here?
I don't know.
All right, I had another one of those things happen. Okay,
We're gonna be in a new studio
Here's
in a
what
week.
it is. Here's what it is. We are going to be in a new studio in a week, so you'll be seeing us on more episodes at a new studio. But we're going to make it look just like this. Nah, I might change it up a little. All right, so here's what I think is happening. I think I'm like sitting on.
I think it's audio gremlins, dude.
Fucking hate him, dude. All right, Buddy Walters, Dallas deputy sheriff, who found evidence linking Jack Ruby to Oswald.
Wait, what?
What? His death, January 10th, 1969.
Oh, he got a longer wait than
He got a
everyone
little
else.
longer than everybody else, you know what I mean?
He wasn't quite as important.
His clock ticked a little longer. Killed in a gunfight during a police raid. Some believe his death was staged. Wait a minute. Oh, so they were raiding somewhere, and then he was killed during that raid. I mean, it is
Caught in the crossfire?
It is. Listen, you're a cop. That is hazard of the job when you're
Right.
going into homes like that. Unfortunately, that is one of those hazards. So 6 years later, but who knows? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be exactly as they said. You know what I mean? Who knows?
Or it could have been staged.
Or it could have been staged. All right, Dr. Mary Sherman. I only got 3 more of these, and then we'll move on.
Let's go.
Dr. Mary Sherman, researcher allegedly connected to a secret government project linked to JFK's assassination. Huh?
Well, that just sounds like you signed up for this
Wait, now what?
to get quieted. It is.
She was a researcher who was connected, allegedly, to a secret government project linked to JFK's assassination. I'm going to read that again. She was allegedly connected to a secret government project linked to JFK's assassination. All right. What?
It sounds like it sounds like being silenced or being erased.
Well, I mean,
is
but
like
here's
part
the
of
thing.
the fine print in your
yeah,
work
but that's
contract.
the thing is that what secret government project was linked to JFK's assassination?
I've learned not to ask these.
The
kinds of
Warren
questions.
Commission was public. So what other government project that was secret was linked to JFK's assassination? And she was linked to that.
I don't know. Maybe
and
the actual assassination.
She was found burned and stabbed in her apartment.
What?
Yeah. She didn't do... That wasn't no suicide. She was just burned and stabbed in her apartment.
Oh, just a casual stabbing. Then we just burned the
that
evidence.
And that was less than a year later after the assassination. Less than a year after JFK's assassination. Move to the next one. James Worrell Jr. A witness who saw a man fleeing the Texas school book depository right after the shooting. November 9th, 1966, he died in a motorcycle accident under suspicious circumstances. Rose Cherami, this is the last one, claims she had foreknowledge of JFK's assassination. On September 4th, 1965, she was hit by a car under mysterious circumstances. Excuse me. Excuse me. Wow. This episode's full of insane shit. Okay. Excuse me.
You're good.
All right. She claimed she had foreknowledge of JFK's assassination. Her death, September 4th, 1965, she was hit by a car under mysterious circumstances. She had previously told police about an assassination plot before the 22nd of 1963, before he was assassinated. She went to them and said, I am telling you about a plot to assassinate the president. And she was hit by a car under mysterious circumstances after the president was assassinated. How bonker. Hey, this is 15.
No,
There's over 50 of these. Over 50 of these, bro. How insane is that, dude? So check this out. Many of these individuals died just before or after they were scheduled to testify before government committees. Several deaths were ruled as suicides, even when the victims had no prior history of mental illness. A number of witnesses died in unusual car accidents, sometimes under circumstances that suggested sabotage, brake lines being cut, and shit like that. So organized crime and intelligence agencies were often linked to those who died as well, like we just read about in here, you know? So, with the sheer number of deaths, many of them happening to people with direct knowledge of JFK's assassination, it's hard to dismiss all of that as coincidence. You know what I mean? It's hard. It's really difficult to just say, this is all fucking, shit happens.
Yeah, and you know...
Is it a Joel, is it a shit happen situation? Or is it a bullshit? Or is it an I smell bullshit situation?
I'm gonna answer that question like this. I only smoke weed and do any vices that come from the ground naturally. So if there's any overdose or anything of any synthetic... anything. Yeah, I didn't do that voluntarily. Just letting y'all know.
I know. I know. He's like, I'm feeling fine, y'all. I am too. We're both feeling great. Joel's like, why did you bring me into this? Holy shit. Don't worry about it. Apparently Trump's gonna, send all those files out. I'm sure they'll come out as redacted as fucking anything we've ever seen before.
They're gonna be blacked out like your walls behind you, dude. That's gonna look just like that.
Exactly. All right, so check this out. So one of the things that I found really interesting about the assassination right after it happened was Officer JD Tippit. Okay, so Officer JD Tippit, he was a 39-year-old Dallas police officer. He served with the Dallas Police Department for 11 years. He was a U.S. Army veteran, and he was shot and killed 45 minutes after JFK was assassinated.
Whoa.
Tippit's murder plays a crucial role in the official narrative, actually, of the JFK assassination, as it was a crime that led to the arrest of Lee Harvey Oswald. Okay, because people claim that it was Oswald that shot Tippit, too.
Right.
Okay, however, there are significant inconsistencies and conspiracy theories surrounding Tippit's death. Okay, so here's the timeline of events surrounding Tippit's death, okay? 1:15, Tippit's location. About 45 minutes after JFK was shot, Tippit was patrolling the Oak Cliff neighborhood of Dallas, several miles from Dealey Plaza. Okay? He was reportedly instructed to be on the lookout for a suspect fitting Oswald's description. 1 minute later, at 1:16, the confrontation happened.
Right.
Tippit allegedly stopped a man identified as Oswald, who was walking along 10th Street and Patton Avenue. Witnesses say Tippit got out of his patrol car and approached the suspect. The suspect suddenly pulled out a handgun and shot Tippit multiple times, hitting him in the chest, stomach, and head. 1:17, the getaway. The shooter fled the scene on foot, leaving Tippit dead in the street. Multiple witnesses saw the man escape. 1:40, Oswald's arrest. Oswald was arrested inside the Texas Theater just a mile from where Tippit was shot. He was allegedly acting suspiciously and tried to pull a gun on officers when confronted. Okay? Now, here's the inconsistencies, okay? That's the official timeline. Here's the inconsistencies. There was a lot of witness confusion after the
Sure.
about the shooter. Okay? Conflicting descriptions. Some witnesses described the shooter as heavier and older than Oswald, leading to a speculation that obviously Oswald wasn't the killer. Multiple shooters theory. Some researchers suggest that there may have been a second gunman involved. The timing issue, distance discrepancy.
Right.
Some researchers argue that Oswald could not have reached the Tippit murder scene in time after leaving his rooming house at 1 p.m. Witness accounts, Earlene Roberts, Oswald's housekeeper, said he was still at his residence at 1:04 p.m., leaving only about 11 minutes to cover a mile by foot. So it's possible. I can run I can run a mile in 6-7 minutes. You know what I mean? So
that's reasonable.
So yeah. So
but I mean, but like, with what? You know, that's running.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's moving pretty quick. And then you have the bullets and ballistics controversy. You have the weapon inconsistencies. Tippit was shot with 4 bullets from a revolver. Okay. Oswald's gun, the revolver found on Oswald, was linked to the crime, but there are questions about how the evidence was handled. Some bullet casings recovered at the scene reportedly did not match Oswald's gun, raising doubts about whether he actually fired the shots. Okay? Tippit's possible connection to the conspiracy. Also, some researchers theorize that Tippit was not randomly stopping Oswald, but was sent to silence him or pick him up as a part of a larger conspiracy. Some witnesses claim Tippit knew Oswald personally, though there is no official confirmation of this. And remember, we talked about one of the witnesses who tied Jack Ruby to Oswald?
Yeah.
Same. Like this, all of these people apparently fucking knew each other, dude. How weird is this?
It's
strange, right? It's not, dude, it's not, there's nothing is normal about this case. Nothing is normal about the Warren Commission. Nothing is normal about the JFK assassination. Like, it's not just some guy. I mean, it just doesn't seem like it's some guy that just, decided to do that. And then all of a sudden, all 50 people, that don't make sense.
Yeah, they just start.
That don't make sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, we could, though, I'll be honest with you, maybe we should do an episode of looking at the actual JFK assassination evidence. Let's do that. We're doing one based on the Warren Commission and the mysterious disappearances afterwards. Right. But you know what? In contrast, I think we should do one about the evidence surrounding the JFK assassination and really look into it. Let's look into it.
Totally.
And see what it really says, And then let's,
Is that something y'all want to see?
I'm sure that they would be fine with it, actually.
Sure.
They probably don't, a lot of the people who are watching this are younger, probably. I don't know. Are you guys our age? Are you guys, I mean, I'm 43. How old are you, 38?
I'm like 36.
He's 38.
I am not 38.
All right, he's 36. All right, so are you guys our age or are you guys young? Or we got some young bucks out there watching? I don't know.
We're the what do you call them? Elder millennials.
I guess I was 81, so I guess I'm at the very end of that. I guess the back end of that.
Something like that.
Yeah, I feel like I'm Gen X, but I mean whatever. I don't give a shit what you call me.
I feel like.
All right, so here we go.
Whatever.
Some witnesses. Okay, Tippit was allegedly seen rushing toward Dealey Plaza shortly after JFK's shooting, raising questions about what he knew. Okay, and then so knowing all of that, knowing the timeline, knowing what we know about the inconsistencies, the question would arise, like, why does it matter?
Right.
Like, why does Tippit's murder matter, And it essentially provided justification for Oswald's arrest, number one, okay, which happened before any real evidence connected him to JFK's assassination, by the way. You know that, right? Like, that was why they arrested him. That was why they had him in custody. And then they just happened to just pin all this shit on him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they didn't
Convenient.
catch him anywhere near. Yeah, exactly. So the inconsistencies in witness testimonies, the timeline, and the ballistics have fueled conspiracy theories that Tippit's murder was either a case of mistaken identity or a part of a larger cover-up to frame Oswald. And some researchers believe Tippit was targeted because he knew too much or was part of a network involved in JFK's assassination. And I'm talking about how these people knew each other.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, I wonder if Tippit knew Jack Ruby.
Probably.
I wonder if they all knew each other. And like, you know what I'm saying?
Probably.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
They probably all worked together, and when they started getting picked off one by one, they were like, it's like the Watchmen.
Yeah.
They knew.
Yeah, in my opinion, like that whole thing about JD Tippit, and in the book they go into detail about the shooter a lot, like the witness statements about the shooter, and it really sounds like it was not Oswald. And just like off of what I read in the book. Now, just some of my notes here, like I didn't really go into detail about the differences and like the witness statements about the shooters, but I remember that very vividly about the book, that like that witness statement, apparently he was shot in front of a bunch of people. Like dead in the middle of the daytime, fucking tons of people around, just bop, 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 right in front of everybody.
The shooter.
Yes. Shot and killed JD Tippit in front of a bunch of people that day. So there wasn't just like, it wasn't just like on some residential street where nobody was at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there were people watching. You know, there were witnesses and there were witness statements, and a lot of witnesses said that it wasn't Oswald, from what I remember about the book anyway. But it does remain one of the most debated aspects of the JFK assassination in general. Many believing, obviously, that it wasn't as straightforward as the Warren Commission said it was. So, you know, we talked about how the Warren Commission's goal was to investigate the assassination and number two, reassure the public.
Reassure the public, which means don't let conflicting statements be released, and make sure that the people who are saying conflicting statements are going to keep their mouths shut.
Sure.
And if they're not going to keep their mouths shut, then we're going to have to, educate them on why this is a horrible decision.
Yeah, right, I know. So after JFK's assassination, the conspiracy theories did begin circulating immediately, and there was speculation about involvement by like the Soviet Union, Cuba, the mafia, the CIA, and even elements within the U.S. government. Lyndon Johnson hoped that a formal investigation would calm the nation at the time and prove that the United States government was in control of the situation.
No, those damn commies came in and killed our president on our own soil.
Okay, so just to give you an overview of who was on the Warren Commission.
Oh.
All right, let me ask you.
We have that list?
We have that list, Joel.
I did not know.
Yeah.
This is
all right, and I'm going to give you any guess. Do you have any guesses to anyone who might be on this list? Do you know anything about history, about that time in history?
I mean, I'm going to guess what's...
Guess what?
Oh, what's his name?
Speak, my man.
I'm trying to think. He was a cross-dresser.
No. Oh, you're thinking about the head of the FBI at the time. You're thinking about, oh God, what was his name? Why am I?
See, it happened to you too.
It did happen to me too.
It's like something
I'm
you know.
I'm looking at a list of names.
Something you know
J.
until
Edgar
someone asks
Hoover.
you. Yeah, J. Edna Hoover.
Edna Hoover. All right, no, he wasn't.
That's going to cost me a lot. I'm going to get erased for that one.
Allen Dulles, former director of the CIA, ironically, JA had him fired after the Bay of Pigs fiasco. He was on the Warren Commission. Totally not a conflict of interest, by the way. Totally not a fucking conflict of interest, by the way. The guy that JFK had fired after the Bay of Pigs, after the former director of CIA was fired after that incident in Cuba. Yeah, that's the guy we're going to have investigate his assassination. Gotcha.
You mean cover it up?
Gerald Ford, U.S. representative from Michigan, who later became the United States president.
I was actually going to ask what president became... What person was going to be a future president? Ford, okay.
Earl Warren, Chief Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, U.S. Senator from Georgia, Richard Russell Jr., U.S. Senator from Kentucky, John Sherman Cooper, Hale Boggs, U.S. Representative from Louisiana, and John McCloy, former president of the World Bank and former Assistant Secretary of War. Yeah. These men were insiders. These 7 men and other... Wait. Yes, and these men were responsible for the
absurd.
Warren Commission, right?
These
These men were insiders in the U.S. political and intelligence world, which later fueled suspicions that the commission was meant to protect the government rather than uncover the full truth. You know, you don't fucking say. You don't say. Really?
That sounds more accurate.
I don't believe it. I don't. Hey, the CIA, they're on the up and up, guys. Seriously.
Yeah,
I don't believe it, Joel. I don't believe it. You can believe it all you want. I don't believe it.
Unconfirmed.
And confirmed indeed. All right. So
this is funny.
let's just go over the findings of the Warren Commission, okay? So these are the official findings. After 10 months of investigation, the 888-page Warren report was released on September 22nd, 1964. Its main conclusions were, number one, that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. Unconfirmed, I would say, actually. It says also that Oswald was the sole assassin and fired 3 shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. He had no accomplices, and there were no larger conspiracies.
Period. The end.
And number 2, the magic bullet theory. The commission concluded that a single bullet, often called the magic bullet, struck both JFK and Texas Governor John Connally, causing 7 wounds in total.
Hey man, if that's not
one bullet,
if that's not 2 birds with 1
wounds.
stone, I just don't know what is.
7 wounds.
7 wounds.
One bullet.
Yeah.
All right. So
Sorry, I'm
the
ruining your
commission
sound
concluded
bites.
that, yeah, right. So 7 wounds in total. This theory was necessary to explain how Oswald, using a bolt-action rifle, could have fired all the shots in the time available. Yeah. Okay. Number three finding from the Warren Commission. Jack Ruby acted alone. Jack Ruby, the nightclub owner who shot Oswald 2 days later, did so spontaneously and was not part of a conspiracy.
Yeah, he's an American hero who just happened to shoot the right guy for the sake of shooting someone.
I have a shirt that says G.I. Joe, the real American hero. Should it say Jack Ruby, the real American hero?
I mean, he's one of them, obviously.
One of them? Should he be a Transformer? Or
I don't know if he's that cool.
Or a Thundercat? Or an Avenger?
He's not that cool.
I mean,
he can be a G.I. Joe. He's not. He's not. He's like. He's part of the core. He's not. He's
part of the core.
He's not gung ho.
I mean, he's Jack.
He's not Snake Eyes. He's certainly not.
I agree. I agree. He's definitely down on the lower rungs of the G.I. Joe ladder. You know what I'm saying?
But it really seems like this is more like Cobra.
He's on Cobra Commander. He's.
Oh, don't be silly.
What are they called again?
Cobra.
Oh, is it Cobra? They're just called Cobra? Okay.
Well, Cobra Commander is the Cobra Commander,
he's the man, yeah.
Yeah, it's like an acronym for something, I think.
So, Jack Ruby is the fellatiatic expert for Cobra Commander. All right, so that's his hero role, or his villain.
Who knows?
His
no, he's a hero.
role.
No, he's a hero. It just.
All right, the United States government. Okay, number 4, the last finding of the Warren Commission. By the way, it's pretty crazy. The U.S. government was not involved.
At all.
The CIA, FBI, Secret Service, and military were not involved in the assassination. There was no evidence of foreign involvement from the Soviet Union or Cuba. Okay, so let's just kind of let's just breeze over these again. Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
Check.
One bullet caused 7 wounds, killing JFK and injuring John Connally.
Check.
Jack Ruby also acted alone.
Check.
And the government wasn't involved in any way, shape, or form. I could have told you that the day after. What are you talking about? It didn't need a year and 888 pages of a report to tell you this, to tell you guys all this. Are you crazy? I mean, Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone. 1 bullet, 7 wounds. 7 wounds. 1 bullet, 8 dildos. Dude, Jack Ruby acted alone. The U.S. government was not involved.
Or Russia or Cuba. The end.
I mean, come on, dude. Like, obviously, listen, the problems and controversies surrounding the Warren Commission. Despite the official government report, the Warren Commission has been widely criticized for inaccuracies, omissions, and questionable conclusions. Obviously, number one on that is the magic bullet theory, dude. I mean, they concluded that one bullet hit both JFK and Connolly, changed direction multiple times, and remained nearly intact after exiting Connolly's body. So the bullet, when it hit him, kept its form, and then bounced.
Never mushroomed out once.
I mean, it mushroomed out, but it kept its form. It was intact. It didn't like shatter and splinter as if it were to hit. You know what I mean? Like ricocheting off of steel or bone or whatever the hell. Like you should have something that's affecting that bullet, right?
Well,
maybe not. Maybe the bullet's just stronger than everything it hits. I'm not a forensic expert. I don't know, but I would.
It clearly has a steering wheel.
Apparently, somebody's using God mode here, dude. Like,
yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like, all right, witness testimony was ignored or altered. Okay, so you have to put this into perspective too. Within the Warren Commission, many witnesses who saw gunfire from the grassy knoll,
right.
Okay? Not the book depository, were either ignored or pressured to change their statements. So,
but why?
There's that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then Dr. Malcolm Perry, the surgeon who treated JFK, initially said that the throat wound looked like an entry wound, not an exit wound. Coming from the complete opposite, coming from the
dashboard.
Coming from the direction of the grassy knoll.
Oh. Yeah.
Critics argue that this is physically impossible, leading to suspicions that there were multiple shooters. I actually don't know if that was the direction it came from, but I'm assuming since they saw shots coming from the grassy knoll, so I don't know.
It's Texas. Everyone has a gun.
I mean, bro, like, is that what happens? Especially in the 60s, is like somebody fires and everybody just fucking unholsters and starts blah, blah, blah. It's become like a bar brawl in like an 80s movie, dude. Like everybody starts fucking punching each other. Except it's in Texas, everybody starts shooting each other.
I mean, that's what everyone thinks anyway, so might as well. I guess. It's Texas.
Right? All right, so check it out. So there were also conflicts of interest. Obviously, we went into the Allen Dulles thing. A former CIA director was on the commission despite having JFK fired him in 1961. Many suspected the CIA and FBI withheld critical evidence from the commission, by the way.
Right.
Evidence was mishandled or destroyed, bro. JFK's autopsy was poorly conducted, with key photographs either missing or altered. Okay? And the FBI and the CIA refused to turn over documents that could have provided more insight. Refused? Why?
You have
the
that
president
right?
was just murdered. Why would the CIA or the FBI, who are three-letter agencies supposed to protect the interests of the people of the United States, why would they refuse to turn over documents to a court that could have provided more insight on his death? That just doesn't make sense to me. That screams to me cover up.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is, but fucking they did it apparently.
Yeah.
Key witnesses also died mysteriously, which we talked about. Dozens of people connected to the case died under suspicious circumstances, including journalists, witnesses, and potential whistleblowers. Conflicting government reports. The House Select Committee on Assassinations in 1979 later found evidence of a likely conspiracy and concluded that there was more than one shooter. Did you know that? The House Select Committee on Assassinations
confirmed it?
Yes. Who all remember all those people who we said died before they were supposed to testify before the House Select Committee of Assassinations?
Yeah.
This Committee on Assassinations, who wasn't the Warren Commission, they later found evidence of a likely conspiracy and concluded that there was more than one shooter, contradicting the Warren report. Directly contradicting the Warren report. So why does the Warren report matter? It was the official government explanation, but many Americans never believed it, obviously.
Right.
The Warren report is now considered one of the most controversial government investigations in the United States history. Obviously.
Wow.
Ridiculous. It's one of the things that you, as a United States citizen, go, we're obviously being lied to about multiple aspects of this case. What the You know what I'm saying?
And what else are we being lied to about?
Correct, exactly. You know, and bro, I think this goes back to our initial conversation that we had here kind of at the beginning of this about public, about public manipulation, you know?
Right, and how it propagates the cognitive dissonance that the public are going through.
It's wild, dude.
Because this particular report was most definitely, like, for the first time, a window that people could look through and say, oh, wait a sec, there's something nasty in there.
Government corruption. We can see it.
And it was...
You're right. That's a good way to put it.
It was the first time that it's like you walk past you can walk past the window and you see a little more and a little more as you walk back, and it's like, that's not just a picture, that's a window.
Right.
And for the first time, I think that was really the U.S. public seeing this is some... and started to question.
You know, I think we've seen things like it before, but I think a lot of the time the public doesn't want to acknowledge it. You know, I think that
it's easier not to.
You know, and I think that it happens too. Like it's happened in history. Mm-hmm. But like, let's say the JFK assassination happens, and that's like a big one, right?
Right.
And then let's say like we move forward, you know, 60 years, and now we're in the COVID era with vaccinations and all the misinformation we got about masking and distancing and vaccinations actually being vaccinations, and you know what I mean, doing something they're supposed to but they're not, you know, and then hurting people and stuff. And so we move from one era of information to the next, but it's within such a broad amount of time that the people who were involved in the last one aren't necessarily either alive anymore or they're not. They've allowed themselves to relax again, so they're not seeing this progression that the government is willing to do to its people. You know, in times like this, you know, when it's willing to, you know, kill its citizens or witnesses or things like that, just to make sure that the rest of the public doesn't know the truth about something. You know, and so I'm talking about the JFK assassination.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but all I'm saying is that there's a lot of misinformation and things that happen, especially when the government decides that they are going to be the ones that are the arbiters of the information.
Yeah.
Like the Warren Commission. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
You know, like the
control the
CDC.
narrative.
The CDC admitted that a lot of the stuff that they told us were completely based on nothing. The distancing thing was based on nothing. It didn't help anything. The lockdown, same. The masks, same.
They were safety precautions.
They were guesses at best. They admitted that they were guesses at best. You know, and a significant amount of people were either harmed in some way or died or had permanent disabilities from the vaccine than is publicly available. Actually, not as publicly available. I mean, if you go to the VAERS report, if you go to the National Information on Vaccine, I can't remember, it's the National Information and Vaccine Center or something like that online, and you look up the COVID vaccine statistics, you'll see about per capita, about 2% of people who have taken it died. Another 2% of people that have taken it, roughly, permanently disabled. So you roughly have a 4 to 5% chance of if you take the vaccine of dying from it or being permanently disabled. This is on the VAERS report. I'm just quoting the VAERS report. You know, COVID vaccine, for the COVID-19 vaccine that came out in 2020 or whatever. So look at that report yourself. That's not me saying, you know, making up random numbers.
This is you relaying information.
I am citing my source, the National Vaccines Center. I can't remember the National Information for Vaccine Adverse Effects or something like that. But it's VAERS. It's the Adverse Effects Center for Vaccine Information.
Sure.
You can go and look that up yourself. Put the parameters in, the vaccine, the parameters of what you want to see, and it will show you exactly what I just told you. To look that up for yourselves. But my point is that we get a lot of this misinformation. It kind of goes back to this thing, but we have this long times in between. So people get comfortable. They get content. They don't want to act until we get something that's like been happening recently where the government goes way too far off course and then we have to overcorrect. You know what I'm saying? And then the people, have you ever heard strong men make good times make weak men make bad times make strong men make good times? Do you ever hear that? It's like
I've heard
it's a
something
cycle,
like
and
that, but
it apparently goes in like.
I've heard something to that extent. I haven't heard this whole cycle, but like,
So
yeah,
it
that makes
means
sense. I'm like
strong
thinking like,
men stand up in times in bad times and make things good.
Sure.
Strong men make good times.
Yeah.
Okay, in times that are bad for a country or a region or whatever, strong men make good times. They stand up and they take control and they make things good. Okay, good times make weak men. Good times where people can just survive and not and where they can thrive and they don't have
Be
to
at their leisure.
They don't have to be fighting for their survival. Where strong men had to be strong to fight for their survival to make it nice for the men who become weak in those socioeconomic times moving forward. Those weak men create bad times because they're weak. They allow the government to walk all over them, overtax them, overregulate them, do whatever they want. And then the weak men create bad times because they allow that to happen. Bad times create strong men. And the cycle continues. Do you see what I'm saying?
No.
You ever heard that? Apparently,
something to that extent. Yeah,
right.
but
So this is what happens. This is what happens with society. Okay, so we need to just kind of take a step back sometimes and just say, can we have values? And here's the thing. If we as men can teach the next generation values, if we can instill the values of strong men into the future generations, we may have a chance to not have to go through that cycle over and over and over again.
Yeah.
However, it's almost inevitable when good times happen, weak men are created. When easy times,
when you lower your guard in any
when you don't have to look over your shoulder for a T-Rex chasing you, and you're allowed to calm down, make a family, have whatever you want to eat, have the American dream, or have the freedoms and luxuries that this country affords you, you get into a mode of
complacency,
relaxing.
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah.
And that creates contentment. You know, that doesn't push men to ambition, to motivation, unfortunately. Now, that doesn't mean that there aren't ambitious men who are motivated. You know, we have lots of those in our society, thankfully and luckily, because we are a capitalist society and we need that. If we were a socialist society, nobody would have any motivation. Like I was explaining to you earlier, the professor. At the beginning of the class, the professor tells his class that he's going to give everyone an average grade for the semester.
Right.
First test comes around, they get a B-. All the kids who did hard work and got A's were all pissed off because their grade was demoted. All the kids who got D's and F's and C's were stoked because they didn't have to work as hard enough and they got a better grade. Next test comes, people who work as hard decide they're gonna not work as hard because I can't work as hard. I mean, we got a B. I'll do about a B's worth of work, and they go into it with that kind of mentality because why are they going to do all the work and everybody else is going to take all the credit? But they don't do anything, and then the ones at the bottom, this time they don't do anything because then they know that they're being carried. You see, so and then. That cycle continues. We go down 2, 3, 4, 5 tests. Now the top earners are barely
burned out.
Yeah, they're burned out. They're burned out from carrying the rest of the class. So then the class average becomes what, a D, C-, a D or something like that. In the long run. And all socialism is everybody's sharing in the same misery. You know what I'm saying? And is everybody sharing in the same low level of services and goods? Capitalism actually promotes competition. It's the best quality and services of goods and products that we can get at the lowest price point. Let me give you an example. School. Let's say schools are public. I mean private, right? So John owns school number one, and he says, I'm going to start a school. I know some great teachers. I got access to some, wholesale equipment, some computers and stuff. My buddy works at Apple. I can get a bunch of computers for the kids. I know I got this facility up the street, blah, 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 blah. He starts a school. Awesome. Everybody loves the school, right? Everybody goes and pays to go to John's school, right? Or they get, their public school vouchers or whatever that they can pay for whatever school they want to go to. That goes to John's school. John gets $15,000 per kid per year. But hey, 70 kids showed up this year. Wow, that's cool. But he's doing so good that the next year he's got 80, and the next year he's got 120. But then Joe down the street looks at John's school and says, damn, I could do that. Like, damn, he's getting paid a lot of money, and I have the same knowledge. I have the same resources. I know better teachers. I went to school with better teachers. So he starts his own school down the street, right? School B. School A, School B. John's doing great. Joe starts a school. Joe's school's awesome. Joe's got computers built into the desks. Joe's got some of the best teachers he could possibly find. All the parents go, holy shit, I'm going to Joe. I'm going to Joe's school. I want my kid to learn from the best teachers. I want my kid to have the best facilities. Joe's got baseball teams and basketball teams and stuff. John doesn't have that. John's got great academics, but Joe's got all this extracurriculars. We're going to Joe. Joe's got the academics and the curriculars. They go they go to Joe. Now, let's say there are no school vouchers and people have to pay, right? But let's say they pay for school. Let's say that's the model of a society we live in. This could be applied to any business. I'm just using school as an example. It can be applied to any business. Joe starts school number 2. Awesome. Everybody loves it. John starts losing kids. 30 kids go to Joe's school. Not to mention all the kids, from other side of the neighborhood are coming to Joe. Right. And, so John goes, well, damn, man, I gotta, what I gotta do? I gotta do better. So he gets better computers, he gets better teachers, he expands his school, he puts in, baseball fields and stuff. That he starts giving more and better options to the community. Right. And then Joe goes, well, damn, now John's doing what I'm doing. What can I do to make mine better? Well, fuck, I'm gonna lower the price. I'm lowering the price. Everybody come to my school, back to my school now. Do you see what competition does to business, do you see what competition, unfettered and untouched by dumbass government regulations, does to society, does to an economic system to promote the highest quality and value of products and services at the lowest price point? Do you understand how that works?
Yeah, but it also promotes a cutthroat mentality.
Doesn't matter. If someone is, so what? Cutthroat mentality B, who benefits from that? Let me ask you this. Who benefits from that cutthroat mentality? The public. Because at that point, you have to be the best products and services at the lowest price point, right?
Yeah, but then the problem is...
What's the problem? I like this conversation. Okay. What's the problem? Tell me the problem.
The problem becomes that everyone
Continue the joke.
Everyone who wants to make something, create something, anyone who wants to do something now has to come in here like, all right, if anyone fucking touches my shit.
What are you talking about?
No, it becomes that way. No, you have to go in it. No, it's like no, I'm calm.
No. You're okay.
I'm calm. That's an example.
Take it way back a step.
Because now it's like
no. In this model that I explained to you, when did I ever tell you that Joe got angry at John for anything?
But they will.
Why? No, they won't.
Because why would they need to?
It doesn't mean you have to have anger.
But everyone does. That's the thing. How
what you're talking about is a personal emotional response.
No, that is not my response. I'm giving an example.
We're talking about an economic system.
Yeah.
Okay? You're talking about a personal response to an economic system that you think might happen. Think about this. Let's put this in perspective.
Greedy people are always going to react that way.
Maybe, and guess what? Maybe, who cares? Yes. So my point is that I'm pointing out an economic system. We're talking about economic systems and why it works, why one works and why one doesn't necessarily work.
But the individuals are always going to be what corrupts it.
That is true. This is absolutely true. And this is where people get that capitalism is bad wrong. That's called cronyism. That's called being a fucking asshole. That's called nepotism. It's called all the things that people do, but is not. So what? It doesn't matter. The same shit happens in a socialist society too. In fact, way worse.
I know.
Way fucking worse. It's a class society. When you get into a socialist society, you either are born into it or you're fucked or you're in the working class.
Yeah.
And you get what you get.
Yeah.
You get crumbs.
Yeah.
In capitalism, you have an opportunity. Yes, sir. Because what I just tell you, Joe and John, John and Joe. John school number 1. Joe saw John do something and said, I can do it too.
Yeah, I can rip that off.
I can do better. No, not necessarily rip it off. He's giving a service. Okay, so John is the only one that's allowed to teach kids?
No,
nowadays?
I'm not saying that.
That's what you just said. That's exactly what you just said. Joe took a service, a basic service called education, and said, I can do it better. And it promoted a competition between the two, and what that promoted was the best services and products at the lowest price point over a period of time. Now,
yeah, but
are you gonna eventually have situations where you have things like
we've seen this throughout history.
Hold on. Are you gonna eventually? What are you talking about? Wait. Stop. Let's not get off topic. We're okay. All right. Continue. Let me know what you're talking about exactly as far as seeing these things through history, and I'll go back to what I was saying.
Okay. You have one man teaching a school A, another man teaching school B, and they both say they teach the same general thing. But now it turns into, well, he says he's better. And he says he's better.
No, Joel, it doesn't matter what you say.
See,
Joel,
the price point.
It's about public experience, my guy. You have to understand this. This is about public satisfaction with the services. This has nothing to do with somebody's advertisement. This and again, we're going back to the model now, which is like, we were past that. The conversation, okay, so let's explore that, what you're talking about. So Joe and John, I'm sorry, refresh me on what you said.
Okay, let's just say this temple's teaching karate. This temple's teaching kung fu.
So essentially, you're saying you're the best. Forget saying you're the best, buddy. You don't have to say shit, because in today's society we have social media. In today's society we have word of mouth. We have a grand thing called the internet that people can go ahead and leave reviews on. So you don't have to say, you can say you're the best. You can say 4 out of 5 teachers, suggest John's school. 4 out of 5 teachers suggest Joe. It doesn't matter what you say, because what matters is the experience that people actually have at your business. If you give shitty service and shitty products at a high price point, or you're overpricing your stuff, they're going to go somewhere else. Business is going to go somewhere else. That was my point in the whole model of teaching, of showing that this guy sees this guy has a great school, so he wants to make it better. And then this guy wants to make his better. And then this guy wants to lower his prices. And it only benefits us as the public. Now, you might, in the long run, we're always going to have competition. We're always going to have people that in the long run, at the end of the day, go, damn, Larry down the street has a better business than me, and he's able to sell his fucking shit lower price than I do. But I have too much overhead. Like, how come I can't do, you're always going to get rivalries. It's part of, it's part of anything. It's part of life. It literally is part of life. So you're saying the government should come in. So the alternative is that government comes in, regulates everything. No one can compete with anything, and the government decides what the level and the bar of services and products we get across the board. So there's no competition, just so everybody's okay with each other. So we all have to share in the same amount of misery, just because we don't want Joe to get offended by John because John's school is better. That makes no sense.
No, we don't want Joe getting so angry that he burns John's school down.
That's a personal thing. My God, if John is such a fucking idiot that he's going to go and burn Joe's school down, or vice versa, then they should be in jail, my guy.
I know.
Do you see what I'm saying? And that's how life works. You're not talking about
people cover it up and it'll be corrupt.
You're taking that in a direction that has nothing to do with the economic system that we're talking about.
Okay.
Zero to do with capitalism. It has to do with a person being mentally unstable and reacting in a way to competition that most normal people don't do. Normal people who are ambitious.
Talking about cover-ups and all of the...
No, what we're talking about is that that goes way back to what we were talking about with the before. But what I'm saying is that we're talking about two economic systems.
Sure.
Socialism and capitalism. You know,
Sure.
we're talking about the benefits that we as people get. And yes, I'm just saying, Joel, we're always going to get people being people.
Yeah.
Which means we're going to get greedy ass people.
Yeah.
We're going to get people who are going to mistreat their workers. We're going to have people who
Right.
underpay their
Right.
workers. Those are the businesses that, and let me remind you, this all goes back to, again, we have the internet. People can stand up and fucking get a new job.
Yeah.
And then they can put out to the world that, hey, this guy didn't pay me enough, or he mistreated me and treated me like shit. And then other people can go and, hey, and they can gauge whether they want to work at that place or not. And the more shitty reviews that person gets, the less workers they're going to get. The less business they're going to get. If you got reviews on Yelp and Facebook and everybody says, this guy was a fucking asshole. This guy was a jerk off to me. He charged way too much, and he thinks his shit don't stink. And you know what? Everybody's gonna fucking do. They're gonna stop going to his business.
Well, yeah,
That's
they
how
will.
fucking business works
It is.
in capitalism. Is we are the judges. We are the juries in capitalism. You and me. We get to go into these places, and then we get to say our piece to the rest of the public and let them know, hey man, these guys were awesome. I went to this place around the corner the other day for lunch, and it was killer. They're brand new. I loved them so much. The guy who served us was great. It's a family establishment, blah, 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 whatever it is.
Right.
Same on the negative spectrum, and that's what we have. We have that today. Certain services and goods, certain services that are given to us by, that are given to us by the government, and those are always, they're never as good as what the private sector can offer. The private sector will always do it better. There's never been a service that the government has offered the United States, that people in the United States, that's been a higher bar, higher quality than the private sector can do it. Never. So anytime government puts its grubby little greedy little fucking hands in any part of society, it fails. It sucks.
But that's what
Education.
and that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Let's go to
is someone's-
education.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Just look at education. Look what they've done to the education system. Look
Yeah.
how low the bar is in education nowadays. Look at, I mean, it's shitty, you know? So, you know, I mean, we kind of got off on another tangent here about economic systems, but
Yeah.
but you know, I mean, it loosely kind of correlates with what we were
I can
talking
see how
about
it
here.
correlates. Sorry, I was talking about the corporate greed and corruption, and you're talking
And it
about
happens. It happens.
Yeah, so it's
all
like,
over the
and
place.
and that's where I'm coming from.
I'm
But no, I
saying
see.
that,
Yeah.
and a lot of, and dude, so many people I talk to get that mixed up with capitalism. They think that is capitalism. That's not capitalism.
No,
that's people being
that's
assholes.
people.
Yes,
That's people. I know
taking
that.
advantage. That's people taking advantage of the system that they're in. They're always going to do that. But let's put it this: like I said, they're always going to do that in any political system, in any economic system that they're in. Those at the top, the elites, the one who can, are going to take advantage of the
Yeah, they
system they're
will.
in. Would you rather have them take advantage of a socialist system where you're at the bottom, where you're born into a working class and you are not allowed to start a business for profit for yourself? Or would you rather be able to have an opportunity to build wealth for yourself?
I'm thankful that I was born in a system where I can.
Do you want the government to reach into, do you want to start a business and the government to reach in and say, we're going to take,
course not.
this money and give it to all the society over here, and they're going to get, your,
No, of course
your
not.
universal basic income
But if I was born
every
into
month?
it, it wouldn't matter what I thought.
Correct.
That's
No,
the
right.
thing.
You're right. If you were born into it, you wouldn't know anything
Yeah.
else. You wouldn't know any better, which a lot of people in California don't know that there's actual freedoms outside the state lines of California.
Yeah.
When I get out to Oklahoma, dude, in my house out there, dude, like, bro, it's another world. It's literally
I
another
was
world.
born
Go
and
to
raised in
Arizona,
Texas.
and it's another world.
Oh, I know.
You know? Oh, you've been born and raised in Texas.
I was
yeah.
born and raised in Texas. I moved here for the entertainment industry, but like
For sure.
and there's things I like about both places but again,
Absolutely.
and that's what
I
I was
love
talking about.
California
and that's
for
what I was
certain
talking
reasons,
about.
too.
And that's what I was talking about. Local laws here in California
Suck.
Well, no. Forget about that.
Suck.
The opinions are matter. Local laws in California shouldn't apply to Texas
Yes.
because
Correct. The people are going to vote in a different way there.
because
should be-
90% of the state of Texas isn't a coastline, and so we can have plastic bags because we're not worried about it blowing into the ocean.
Right.
Just little things like that.
I
And that's why I was
understand.
saying, that's why I was saying local government and small things where it's that puts less ability for corruption, because then some dude over in New York isn't dictating what's going down right here.
Well, yeah, I mean, now we're talking about like political corruption, you know what I mean? And absolutely, I think we want, like we'll go back to talking, we want smaller government. I think most people wants less government in their lives. I think basically most people would agree that a more, like I said, localized and municipalized government would be best, and then the state representatives would oversee them and make sure that our voices are being represented properly by our municipalities, and the federal government would oversee the states and make sure that's, you know, kind of what's happening. I think that was kind of how it was designed in the first place, but we might have gotten a little away from that over the last few 200 years or so. I don't know. So, but I do think the Constitution was up to, as far as I know today, the greatest governing document that I've ever read, as far as, you know, as far as a nation goes, you know.
Well, the fact that they also left leeway for it to evolve over time.
Sure, you know, but
which is good.
But you know, the reasons that they wrote what they wrote in there, and having gone through what they went through with their, you know, monarchy and their totalitarian, authoritarian government,
it's because they knew what it was firsthand.
Right, and they experienced, like much like we kind of are today, taxation without representation on a level that was, I mean, it was oppressive enough for them to say no, no more.
To the point of cartoonish opulence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go, dude. So really, so we go back to everything. We go back to the economic systems that we have in place today. We go back to, which I think are fantastic. And I think that less government is going to be better for us.
For sure.
Less, and I think that also goes into the information that we take in. I think less government involved in the media, the better. I think that independent journalism, and I think that journalists being able to speak their minds without being paid by the government to say one thing or the other. I think independent journalism, or journalists being held to a higher standard legally and not being able to legally put out things that they know to be false, need to be brought back in style. You know what I'm saying? Like pronto, fucking pronto. Like let's bring that retro shit back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm down. You know what I mean? Like, let's make that trend again.
As a libertarian Native American, if you're around wondering what my political views are, there they are. I agree. I think yes, I think a lot of less big or institutionalized things and let smaller stuff run it. Let the people run themselves. Let the market
be free.
Run itself.
Let the market be free.
And this is because, and a lot of people, and I work in the entertainment industry. I hear the big bad juju word of capitalism, but it's like, again, I have to remind people, I'm an independent contractor.
Well,
I've been an independent contractor since I was 9 years old.
Yeah.
Okay.
You like those shoes?
Yes.
You like that jacket? You like that? You like those pants?
Yeah.
I
like the things that I have earned for myself. I like the things I like the ability to capitalize on any skill, whether I was 9 years old and mowing lawns for my neighbors, learning that $20 an hour is a joke because I got $20 in 45 minutes mowing front and back of Ms. Johnson's yard. Don't talk to me. And this was back in early 90s money, dude. I was 9, okay? So members of the 40-40-40 club, whatever, dog. I learned a long time ago what $20 was actually worth, what 1 hour of my time is actually worth, and what one hour of what kind of effort is worth what. I learned that at an early age, and my dad, I don't think my dad was really proud of himself when he taught me that principle, because I just learned if I ever want anything, I don't have to save for it. Say why? I'll just go work. I save to buy a thing. Because that's what economics is. That's what currency is for, to be spent, not to be hoarded.
I like that, Joel. And really, to be honest with you, it's not just economics, dude. I appreciate what you just said, because sometimes we especially when we're living in economic times that are hard. These last 4 years have been really hard. I'm hoping that with the new administration, with a lot of the cuts that they're making, the tax cuts that we're going to be seeing, business tax cuts that we're going to be seeing, hopefully we'll be paying less prices for some things. Hopefully we'll have a little bit more spending power in our pockets, the average Joe. Hopefully things will get manufacturing will be here in the United States. Be bolstered, and maybe the unemployment rate will kind of go way down. Maybe we'll get some more lows, as far as that goes, and some more highs as far as the positive stuff goes. Would like to see a lot of that. You know what I mean?
But that's why I tell people, go to a trade school. Don't waste your money and time in a 4-year university when you can go learn a trade or two. Okay, my family and I moved out to California in 2005,
right.
And my dad worked for Yamaha. When he lost his job with Yamaha, guess what I did? I was still acting. I went and got a cash-paying job twirling a sign for We Buy Gold. I was working as a spotlight operator for a venue, and I was also working a door at a bar. And I was doing all of that, all at the same time. Why? Because they all paid cash, except for non-union acting. But I was able to get shit covered because I could capitalize on it, because I didn't have someone's hand in my pocket.
Right.
And,
yeah, you're
capitalize.
Right. Yeah, and you got to think about that, dude. And like you said before, it's a lot of people really do have the. I kind of lost my train of thought there on the last point. No, it's okay. It was not you, it was me. But you got you're right, and you have these conversations with people in the entertainment industry on a regular basis. I'm sure everybody here's, like you said, it's the big bad voodoo word, taboo word. Of capitalism, and everybody hates it, and everybody just has this, this view of what it is, instead of taking a step back and acknowledging that, yes, capitalism is a system just like any other. It's an economic system that we use, and it's the best one that we have to date in the world. I'm not saying it's the best one we'll ever have,
right,
but it's the best one that I know of. But they hate it without knowing exactly what it is, while understanding the part of it that we were talking about, how people take advantage of it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But they're going to take advantage of any economical system. Any elites in any society are going to do that. However, it's our decision. Do you want to go shop at Walmart, or do you want to shop at a mom and pop? You can empower your local mom and pop shop. Mm-hmm. You can empower your local, your locally owned stores and your locally owned restaurants. And you don't have to go to Walmart. You don't have to go to Target. You don't have to go to fucking, Denny's. You don't have to. You can go to Mom and Pop's Cafe or the Village Cafe or Dale's Diner or whatever it is, and get a great meal, from somebody who's, and pump your local economy up.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Pump up local commerce as opposed to just going to Guitar Center and buying.
That's right. Or you can choose to go on Amazon. You can choose to go to Walmart. You can choose to go to Target and keep putting money in the conglomerate's pockets. Or you can actually, put your money where your mouth is and support your local businesses, support your local economy,
support your local artisans.
Yeah, exactly. That's difficult nowadays, man. I'll be honest with you. Artists don't make it easy for them to be supported on their own. Like myself, I gave all my albums away for free on my website. And that's cool, because then people are listening to the music. That's what I want. I don't, it wasn't necessarily about the money, but I don't have a super accessible merch store. You know what I mean? I didn't make a lot of things overly accessible as far as putting myself out there. I think artists don't do that enough. I think I can only name a handful of independent artists that I know that are constantly really pushing hard and getting their shit out there and making themselves super accessible to the public.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, even the start of my music career, I've been playing on I've been playing Minaret guitars. They were at the time based out of
Texas, right?
No, Lake Forest, California.
Oh, were they?
Or not Lake Forest, Silver Lake. Anyways, up there.
Somewhere, some lake place.
Anyways, Eric did the woodwork in Burbank. The finishes were done in San Diego, Corona, and the inlay work was done in San Diego. It was all done in California.
So, Joel, long story short, Minaret guitars are badass, is what Joel is saying.
But also, even the last guitar I just bought was made by a friend, an artisan I met at the fair. I will always support a boutique and I've never even owned a handmade guitar before.
An artisan you met at the fair.
Handmade guitar. You ever owned a handmade guitar, Eddie?
An artisan you met at the fair.
At the Ren Fair, yeah. I bought a.
I hate to ask what you had to do for that guitar, Joel.
Hand over some money.
Oh, it was just that easy?
Yeah, it was just that easy.
There was no...
No.
No, none of
Nothing.
that? There was none of that?
None of that. No.
None of that?
No.
I'm just kidding.
No. And
It wasn't, so it wasn't general Ren Fair activities. Then it was just actual trade. I understand.
no,
Hey, wow,
it-
well, that's surprising. Usually at the Ren Fair, you get a little bit of the old hoop-de-doo. You know,
You
with
can.
with your trade. You know.
Maybe, who knows? But that's.
Hey, you're at the Ren Fair.
But this was an honest trade between artisans.
I mean, Joel does work at a tea house. I mean, a whorehouse. I mean, a tea house.
It's a tea house.
It's a tea house. Exactly. So, tea
except
strumpets.
Except I'm what you get when you order a chai latte.
Well, I guess that's something. So, well, Joel, dude, it's been wonderful talking to you today. We kind of got off on a couple tangents, but I loved it. It was a great conversation. And you know what, dude? Listen, you don't have to think like me. You don't have to think like him. Everybody has their own opinions. And guys, I love you guys. I love every single person out there. I want you all to succeed, and I want you all to be ambitious people. I want you all to be productive members of this country, of this beautiful United States that we have here. Joel, do you have anything left to say to these people?
The best way to support local commerce is go to your local Renaissance festival.
Damn, Joel, popping it out there. Yeah, he's putting the Ren Fairs out there. I love it. Hey, thank you guys all for joining us today. I appreciate it. And remember, you guys, we are spiritual beings having a physical experience, not the other way around. I'm Eddie Booze, and this is Exit the Matrix. See you guys later.